I'm here with WBC welterweight world champion Shawn Porter, who is defending his world title against Yordenis Ugas March 9th in the main event of PBC on Fox card, live from the Dignity Health Sports Park in Carson, California. Shawn, how are you doing? How has training camp been going along for you?
It's been great, man. We changed locations and we're doing camp in DC this camp, and everything's been great.
You know, looking at this fight against Yordenis Ugas, he's coming into this fight with a lot of momentum. He's fought in the same card as you back in September. I mean, looking at Ugas, where in his skill set, or I guess in his physical ability, do you see could give you a lot of trouble when the two of you meet in March?
You know what? It's hard to say. He has the Cuban. He's a Cuban fighter, and he doesn't have the traditional Cuban style. However, he has the Cuban mentality, and I know what that mentality is. They don't waver from anything. They stay very consistent at what they do, and they're very good at what they do. So he's very good at the basic and fundamental things of boxing, and he's not going to waver from that. I'm not going to be able to get him out of position too often and get him to and I'm not going to be able to have my way with him the way I've been able to in the past with a lot of different fighters. So I think that's the number one thing for me, is just to figure out how to get him uncomfortable and get him to kind of start to move away from the things that he does well and move more into the things that I need him to do in the ring.
So, I mean, obviously he's tall, he's tough. I mean, he hits a lot harder than what his knockout ratio may indicate at first glance. So, do you think that this fight is going to end up being more of a chess match between the two of you instead of, I guess, a rough, scrappy, physically demanding fight?
I think it's going to be both. A lot of people expect it to be a rough, inside fight. I don't think it's going to be, directly inside, but there's definitely going to be moments where I'm going to take the fight to him. I think he is the kind of fighter that's going to push forward and try to get you against the ropes and bang the body. And so with that being said, I think he's going to be an aggressive fighter. And, so for me, it will be kind of that chess match of me trying to figure out when to get in, when to get out, and when to be aggressive, and, when to, use my defense, and so on and so forth. But I just think that this is going to be, it's going to be a really good fight. I think that styles make fights, man. I think that, this one has just all the makeup to be a really good fight.
Ugas is your mandatory challenger, and it'd be hard to argue that he has not earned the right to fight for a title. He's been on this very long win streak. But after you beat Danny Garcia to win the title, a lot of people kind of wanted to see you and Errol Spence fight after the two of you kind of had that face-off after you beat Danny. Does it sometimes get frustrating for you as a champion to sort of not get those type of big fights that you want when you want them in order to resolve your mandatories, or do you kind of feel that mandatories is a necessary thing to have in the sport?
You know what? The mandatory is always a little confusing. The reason why, because the mandatory may not always be the number 2 guy or the number 3 guy, or that the other guy with the other belt. It may be the guy that you just didn't expect to fight. In this, I'm talking in this fight specifically. I knew that Yordenis was kind of on the trail to fight me and on the trail to fight for the WBC, but because Errol Spence gets in the ring after the fight, because I have my eyes set on guys like Errol Spence and Keith Thurman, the fight against Yordenis Ugas wasn't really the one that I expected. So sometimes the mandatory may make you kind of tilt your head like, okay, this is the direction I have to go. However, it's a part of boxing. It's a part of what we do, and it's a part of winning the title. So I do understand that, and I'm ready for it. This wasn't exactly what I was expecting or what I wanted, but I'm ready for it.
You're a two-time world champion. You've fought some of the best names out there throughout your career, and you've been fighting for seemingly forever, but you're only 31 years older, 31 years young, depending on how you look at it. From your perspective, are we seeing the best version of Shawn Porter right now, or is there still room for you to grow?
I tell you what, I have honestly been doing this forever. I'm 31, and I think I've been consistently in the gym, definitely since I was about 7 years old. So it's been some time that I've been on this long adventure. I honestly feel like I'm coming into my best boxing. I'm coming into my best professional athletic potential right now. I think that and I'm hoping I get better every time I go out there, and I think I'm doing that. And so with that being said, I do think that there's still some more heights for me to reach, but I'm definitely right now, especially with the fight with Danny Garcia, I think that was the best Shawn Porter you had seen to date. And I think when you see Yordenis Ugas, and Shawn Porter, you'll see me climb up another stair. And I honestly, I think that that's the way it's supposed to go until you're done. You're never done learning until it's all over. You learn something new every day. So with that being said, boxing is no different. We can still learn. We can still grow, get better, even at the small, minute things. Those things, the small things become big things in the professional world. And as long as I take care of the small things, I'll get better every time you see me.
I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your second job, I guess sort of say, working at Fox at Inside PBC Boxing. Well, what has that been like so far for you now that you're kind of like on this side of the sport instead of just being exclusive to just fighting in the ring?
I love it. It's something that I've always wanted to do. Something that I would definitely pursue, even if I wasn't doing it now for Fox. Whenever I do decide to retire, that was going to be one of the next steps for me. So for me to have this opportunity right now, and just to be able to learn and grow that part and understand that part of the business while I'm still doing it is really, really exciting for me, because once I'm done boxing, I can put all my time and effort into that. And I've already began to learn and grow in it. It's just it's going to get even better and exciting once I'm done boxing.
So it's safe to assume that we could potentially see Shawn Porter, the broadcaster and color commentator for big fights down the road when you're done.
Oh, 100%. Whether that's Fox, that's Showtime, it's Spike TV. It doesn't matter. I love it. Rather, even the radio, I love all of it, and I'm looking forward to venturing into that even more, and really starting to dig in and learn and grow more and become more prolific at that as I am in boxing right now.
Obviously, Fox has made this big commitment to boxing. They're showing all these big fights on a regular basis, which has not really been commonplace for a big network to show big boxing fights on a regular basis in quite some time. And they're even, being a big part of the upcoming pay-per-view between Mikey Garcia and Errol Spence Jr. They're showing, they're broadcasting their press conference live in the next few days. You kind of see yourself as a fighter potentially in a position where, with the support of Fox being such a big, doing a lot of investment for PBC, do you see yourself in a position where you could also be getting a pay-per-view main event down the road against the right opponent?
Yes, definitely with the right opponent, but that's the plan. The plan is to do this at the highest level, and do it so that everyone can see us, which is why we're on the same networks as that you see NFL on every other day, and NBA as well, and all the big time sports. So we're trying to do it the best we can to make a name for ourselves, and then after that, hopefully those fans will carry on with us onto the pay-per-view networks as well.
Obviously one of the biggest PBC stories, and I guess in the last few weeks, has been your co-host Abner and the unfortunate eye injury that he suffered. Worst case scenario, it could be career-threatening. When you first heard the news, was it when he was speaking to Kate Abdo, or did you find out beforehand? What was your feelings or your emotions when you first heard the news?
You know what? when I heard the news, I was just really, really not disappointed. I was what's the word? I was concerned. I was concerned for Abner. You see, the thing for Abner is when you try to move up a couple of weight classes and take on a heavy hitter that everyone's telling you can't beat, and they're asking you why, and you're trying to convince everyone that you can do it, and then something like this happens. It gives the perception that he didn't want the fight. It gives the perception that he ran away from the fight. It gives the perception that something fortunately came up for him, and that just isn't the case. I know Abner is a tremendous athlete. He is a professional from top to bottom, beginning to end. And I know if he had it his way, he would have gotten in the ring the other night. So I just was concerned for him. I know that his heart was broken, and I'm sure that his confidence, and all the questioning that everyone had for him was definitely took a toll on him. So that was really my only concern with the fight not going the way that he needed it to go.
And kind of now moving back to your boxing career, when we last spoke, I believe it was in August, before the Danny Garcia fight, we were talking a little bit about what your thoughts towards a potential rematch between you and Keith Thurman, and you said that you wanted to see how he looked in his first fight back, and to make sure that if you two fought and you did beat Keith Thurman in the rematch, there would be no excuses whatsoever. Now that you've seen him fight Josecito Lopez and get a hard-fought win over Josecito Lopez, do you kind of feel that perhaps after this fight against Ugas that maybe at that point now would be the time to potentially have the rematch against Thurman if you do beat Yordenis Ugas in March?
You know what? We'll see what happens. I'm definitely going to beat Yordenis Ugas, but I think that I don't think Keith. He didn't look comfortable in the ring. He didn't look completely confident and sure of himself. I think he's still got some kinks to get out, and I think it's still going to take some time. If he wants to fight, then we'll do it. If he's saying, I want you now, then we'll do it. Outside of that, if he's not calling my name, then we right now at this very moment we may look elsewhere. Reason being is because I didn't see the vintage Keith Thurman that I hoped I would see. Obviously, I didn't expect to see everything that you see that you've seen from Keith Thurman in the past, given that he's been gone for so long. However, I just thought it was. I think I may have saw 50% of what I expected to see, and that just wasn't enough for me.
So after this fight against Ugas, you're still obviously Errol Spence Jr. He got his fight against Mikey Garcia. Manny Pacquiao, he just joined PBC and he looked really good against Adrian Broner last month. Among the top names at welterweight, who do you like to face off against next if it were up to you?
That's it, man. I have three names on my list. Manny Pacquiao, Errol Spence, and Keith Thurman. The list is short, and I don't think, after this mandatory, I don't think there's a reason why I would look to fight any of the other guys out there.
Lastly, going back to your fight against Ugas, predictions-wise, obviously you've spoken of how hard it is to try to get Ugas out of his rhythm. That's going to be key to your fight. Do you believe that this will end up having to go to the judges, or do you think that there's going to come a point in the fight, probably late in the fight, where you think you could be in a position to knock him out?
I got a feeling if I can get him to exchange with me and throw with me, I think I got a good feeling I could catch him and land something that would hurt him and take him out. And so I will definitely keep that in the back of my mind and look to force him to throw his hands with me. Outside of that, I'm not worried about it going to the scorecards. I think that I have the right tempo and the right pace, the right punch output, and the right ring generalship to take care of a decision if it goes that way.
Shawn, thank you so much for talking to me. Best of luck in your fight March 9th against Yordenis Ugas at the Dignity Health Sports Park in Carson, California. Best of luck, Shawn, and looking forward to seeing you in the ring and talking to you soon.
Thanks a lot, Carlos. You have a good one.